From the continued negotiations over Mueller testimony to the president's vow he's going to collect the citizenship data and more blowback to word that the ICE raids are coming back this weekend. Let's turn to Republican Senator from Utah, Mike Lee. He also sits on the Senate Judiciary Committee, among other things. Great to have you with us, Senator.
Thank you.
OK, so let's start with the census. I mean, the president today, his critics are saying he lost this one. But really, time-wise, I don't know that there's another option or avenue that they had that wouldn't have immediately thrown them back into court. He says he's going to get the citizenship data, but it's not going to be a question on the census. Senator Jack Reed, one of your Democratic colleagues, says this: I'm concerned the damage has been done. He's poisoned the well to the point where many people may now be scared to participate in the census. They say he didn't want people to cooperate, and now he's brought that to fruition.
I'm sorry, that's complete and utter nonsense. Look, I like Jack Reed. Jack Reed is a friend and a colleague. He couldn't be more wrong with that. I disagree with every word of that sentence. The words but, and the are even wrong. There's nothing about the idea of collecting data on who is a citizen or who isn't. It's going to chill people. It's going to keep people away from a census, especially when that question's not even asked. Now, look, I wish the question were being asked. I'm sure the president wishes the question were still being asked as well. We have the Supreme Court, unfortunately, to thank or to blame for the fact that it isn't being asked. I thought the way they handled that case, the way it was resolved, didn't make any sense. So where we are, the president's going to try to find other ways to collect the data. There's nothing that can collect it in quite the same way that the decennial census can.
So even if he is going to say this fight over getting the question onto the census is over, Democrats say it's not. The House Oversight Chair, Elijah Cummings, said today the administration needs to turn over all the documents the committee has subpoenaed on a bipartisan basis, or else the House will vote to hold Attorney General Barr and Secretary Ross in criminal contempt. They were both standing there with the president in the Rose Garden today. House Democrats say they still have a lot of questions about how this thing came to be.
Well, I'm sure they do. And, you know, what they choose to vote on is their own decision. But these things are not without consequence. They can't threaten that too often without it losing its effect. I'm not sure this is ultimately going to bring them what they want, especially given that the question is now largely moot. OK,
well, the ACLU has said it's all about sowing fear in the immigrant communities when they talk about how handling this question about citizenship. They're not the only ones talking about fear in communities of immigrants across the U.S. Another one of your colleagues, Senator Mazie Hirono, had this to say about the fact that these ICE raids of people who have final deportation orders may be ramping up this weekend.
First and foremost, this is, again, the president sowing fear. He's terrorizing these communities where the immigrants live, because these are not going to be targeted arrests. He's going to spread a wide net, sowing fear in multiple cities across the country.
What do you make about her characterization of these potential raids?
Anytime law enforcement occurs, anytime a police officer stops people who are breaking the law for one reason or another, sure, people might be afraid of that, but I don't quite understand the assumption underlying her comments. That is that it's somehow bad to enforce the law. If enforcing the law, enforcing our border is suddenly a bad thing, this is a very strange set of cultural dynamics in our country today.
Well, she's not the only Democrat saying maybe it's time to get rid of ICE, maybe DHS altogether, because they're doing unlawful things or operating outside of their boundaries by doing things like this.
To the extent the Democratic Party and its elected officials in Congress, especially in the Senate, are embracing this mindset that says enforcement of our border, enforcement of our immigration laws is categorically bad, they're dangerously out of touch with the American people, and they'll be punished at the polls.
All right, we shall see. Senator, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Good to see you.